GNU is not yet out of the question. This is the words of Ibo Mandaza, political analyst, director of Safe Trust. We're speaking with Trevor on In Conversation with Trevor. The video is quite long, but I'm going to summarize some of the key points that were discussed there. I'm going to leave the video link in the description. If you're watching on Facebook, I'm going to put the link on the post. That being said, let us look at the key points that Ibo Mandaza spoke about. And I'm going to give my analysis. The first thing that I want to understand is that Ibo Mandaza speaks about how impossible it will be for Idi Mnangagwa to rule under these circumstances, that of disputed election and report that was presented by SADC. So let us listen to him, and then we're going to come and discuss the key points.
Are there any similarities that you're seeing in this?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Talk to me about that.
The imperatives are quite self-evident. Clearly, Emerson cannot rule this country in the backdrop of the SADC report and all the other reports. It's a big disaster for him. And there is no way. And given the backdrop I gave you about his intention to go in 2 years, I have no doubt that the GNU thing is in the offing. Mm-hmm. And that's why we are coming in with the idea of a transitional government, because transitional authority, I want to call it. The idea that they must go beyond the GNU. GNU was MDC and ZANU-PF, with disastrous consequences. It was not well defined in terms of who gets what. Like coalitions are defined as in Western Europe. It's clear definition. If there's a coalition between us here, we know the Minister of Finance, Minister of Defense, it's well defined. And two, it must be based on a reform agenda, such as we have in our petition. And thirdly, it must have a big component of civic society, by which I mean broadly academia, labor, women, youths, business,
churches,
diaspora. And we think that as per my view, that if you have 30 ministers, cabinet should be 10. 1/3 is ZANU-PF, 1/3 is CCC, 1/3 the civic society, made up of, among them, technocrats, the Trevors, for example, who can infuse some kind of sense, play a mediation role between the two, right? Which are really are lacking in expertise. I mean, if Chamisa had won or allowed to win, what would be his government? Who would be there? You know. So we think that this is one way of repairing the damage. Get the transitional government to undertake reform, and then you have elections. You know, partisan elections.
So that being said, that possibility of a national transitional authority, or a GNU, let us listen to a clip by Chief Charumbira. He also hinted that not having Chamisa and Mnangagwa together, one, we are spending money on elections. So the issue that Ibo Mandaza spoke about, that Emmerson Mnangagwa wanted to postpone the election, number one, for the sake of having this setup. And then the other thing was that he wanted that setup also in the sense that they were going to spend a lot of money. And I gave you in the other video that 250 million set aside only elections. Imagine what that man could have done. Remember, Oposhimo speaks about how to revitalize our hospitals. Only in 1 year, we need something like 50 million to make sure that they are functional, they are well resourced. Just imagine that 250 million could have, done wonders for Zimbabwe. It could take 5 years of making sure that our hospitals are well resourced. But that money was spent well on elections. How much did Triple C put in order to make sure that they have their successful election? That's a lot of money that was invested. So that being said, it Chief Charumbira says that it defeats the purpose that we spend money on elections and then the money doesn't come from investors. Let's just take a listen to what Chief Charumbira said in earlier this year when there was a funeral and he was talking to Nelson Chamisa. This is what he said.
Was here. Upata. Marambo Chamisa Gwanan. Orambo Hawli Yamisa Lana, whatever country Matombo. Papi. Even more beautiful.
He is speaking about the issue of political tolerance in Zimbabwe, that there is that problem of political intolerance. You can see there behind could be people from Triple C back there, and that is Jacob Mafume, and that's Nelson Chamisa there. That's Chief Charumbira was speaking. And let's just continue listening to that. Apologies to those non-Shona speakers. I'll try to interpret what Chief Charumbira says in this regard.
MP amakatauza kuvaripano ukaenda kuparliament kune restaurant imwe kwavanoda lunch ma-MP ose vanongoti wangotanga kusvika siwe papati MDC wagara vese vanongoti our next vakambovhengana vachita nyaya free asi uno vakamirapo kwazi uya watengesa vangachitaura nenini ko vakuru venyu zvavanokwira vachingodya vose vachitengesana nachi vakuru venyu vachidya vose kwemi munoda kuipolitics dzenyu ndedzepiko ndedzerudzipiko chiregai kuvengana kuuraya nyika. Ini mawa comrade Chamisa achiti ndakamuzira kara achida kuita president kutanga anoziva pachake kuti ini ndotobwadziwa kuti vadijere chakwedzi fokutanga naundashoma ndikutanga makatanga kumira paya 2018 ndikati kuiwe namunakazamuri makaranga musi taipa kuti vachokwadi zvaiva zvazviripo kana zvava zvirongo zvavarongwa zvino zvazviripo taiti yengo yatongwa nemazezuru chete kubva 1980 40 years kuiko zvino tachiboti imwe ndada kumakaranga kuiwe zvauri mukaranga kwamunangabva mukaranga kumugwiri ndini saizvozvo taura hanzanichaawanotaura zvakanaka sire kuti ngadaitazvitauri zvangu asi taiwirana achiti aiwewe tigodai ibatana ezona nhasi last day tingoti emito nyika ino yaifara vamwe vari kuti togwirei.
This actually underscores this issue nyaya yekuti izvo vanhu vanotaura kuti some people in ZANU-PF they hate Nelson Chamisa. It's those that are who are not well aware of what is happening. Look at this is Chief Charumbira. You would think that he is someone who hates Nelson Chamisa. But no, he is saying that how it will be the political environment, which is a big problem in Zimbabwe, whereby we have so much political intolerance and people, they don't have that tolerance for each other, which is a problem. And he is reiterating the same, that you guys are from the same tribe. You are from same tribe, which is the Karanga tribe. Why do you guys fight? You know, and he says that your MPs, they talk to each other. What's the problem?
Atimbofamba nenyikavo zvakanaka netakabatana timbofamba takadaro nyika inakeka izvi maelekeni zongosiya mavanga mamuti zvinongozopedzisira tonyimwa futi mari dzimwe dzovarakukwai makagwa saka mari dzakati hachakuti yakati haichawi. Wala kuti wake marodi toisa mari kumaelection namiliyoni kawo ingotonyimwazve inobva kuzhe. Saka angu hatiazi kuonana nehama yangu tane mamenotapeta kuti kuonana saizvozvi zvakanaka asi izvo dzinoziva kuti ndobva ndakati aiwe vanaona chokwadi ndiye wambondidena saka yaintaurei ini ndakati iwe Chamisa ko wadi kumbonomwa tii napresident mumwa tii muri vari mumbonomwa tii muri tu aiwa.
This also underscores the issue of knowing that ZANU-PF itself, they don't trust this. They know, like all these things that we talk about, they know about these things, and they know that people know that skillful rinoitika kuZANU-PF rekuisirana mishonga nechichi. You see, he knows all these things. It's not like it's something that is new to him. He knows what we are talking about. So he knows this issue, poisoning. That I have a video that I posted a few days ago. So this issue of poisoning Basop, let's listen.
Toronga inomwika asi ndoda chokwanisa bambo wenyu nyika yakanaka ndokuti tifambidzane runyaro rwamataura bhuya hama tsikavengani ivave politics ava vachifamba vakabatana danhasi pano ndotaura mfana wangu muno munhu wangu chei kuti aiwa vanhu vabayiwa nokukonana.
You can hear Chamisa is also agreeing to that. He's saying, this is my brother. Idi Mnangagwa is my brother, like he always says.
Mimi ndava Mnangagwa zvakangonaka timutaure muchidai mawapa uchinzi ini ndava Mnangagwa tongwana mukoma nomunun'una kumukoma nomunun'una vanogona kumwa tii sezvei mukoma nomunun'una kavambomwa tii tinoti umwe noumwe unobva nemasamba masamba akasvika akerekaaka nekandiro yakanzwa chatingangoda kuisa kumagetsi amagetsi vaakave nesimwe chinhu omwe oti vari vaviri ega toda kuti nyika irinororesa toda kuti tifambe zvakanaka. Whether you like it or not, kokupedzisira nyika chiro chatonga mangwana chiro ari hani unongoda kuti vanhu vake vose vabatane nyika ifambire mberi.
This is something that is very, very important. Now, in the sense that I've said videos time without number that in the end of all, there's going to be that need of uniting, everyone and having one nation, which is imperative. People, I think we've fought for over 40 years as a country, and that thing of labeling all the opposition as vatengesi or as puppets, it's not. It's something that is a culture that needs to be eradicated, and people build a better Zimbabwe. So, as Ibo Mandaza also highlighted in that earlier video, where he was saying that even Chamisa, if he's going to be the president, he also needs people from ZANU-PF to become part of that. And you don't want to create another culture of ZANU-PF, whereby the people from Triple C, if they are now in charge, they are now creating a big enemy of whereby people start fighting again. So I really think that some people are saying we don't want GNU, we want total power. As much as you guys are saying we want total power, we don't want a GNU, it's a good thing that one party assumes a lot of power. But in the case of our story as Zimbabwe, I think that it is very, very important for us to understand that for us to cure this political intolerance, it needs a GNU or a consensus or an understanding of whereby we're saying we're starting and let's go forward. And we are creating a different political environment that allows all parties to be to have that understanding. But let me just list a number of things that are here that I needed to talk about the SADC report and the contents of the video that was that Ibo Mandaza was talking to Trevor, right? We understand that, of course, Chamisa refused the deal that was offered to him in March, and also that Zimbabwe is the one that initiated this SADC organ in 1995. Since they are the ones that initiated this organ, and Mugabe was the first chairman of that organ, SADC organ, it's clearly what Zimbabwe, they are testing their own medicine. They are the one who drafted this issue of SADC organ in order to bring accountability to the region. So now that the accountability is now coming to them, it's now becoming unfashionable, which is very, very, very deceptive and hypocritical. And also the other thing that Ibo Mandaza pointed out, that Nelson Chamisa must take responsibility in the sense that he was warned, a lot of red lights were sent to him that, look, this election is going to be flawed. But his argument is saying that it also allowed us to expose these flaws. This SADC report was not going to come out the way it came if there was no election. But there is now this appointments of relatives. Does this cancel out this? I want to say this with a pinch of salt, in the sense that there is the problem that opposition had in the past 5 years, whereby for the past 5 years the opposition was involved in court battles, court what, and they forgot the 3 fundamental issues that made them to be defeated in this past election, whether in any other way. Number 1, electoral reforms. Number 2, diaspora vote. And number 3, the political situation, the political intolerance. They did not fix all these 3. So these are the things that are key to the sufferings of people in Zimbabwe. And here, to ignore all that, it is very, very, very unfortunate on the part of all of us. So these are some of the things that were mentioned in that in conversation with Trevor, and I really feel that it's a good and noble cause. However, as I said, I'm gonna say with a pinch of salt, it could be that Ibo Mandaza could have been sent in order to thumbsuck the opposition to believe that something is going to give, no matter how long it takes, and they forget to do the fundamental things, which are electoral reforms, and making sure that even if there are electoral reforms, they also look for other alternative ways of making sure that the diaspora vote becomes a reality, because we're the only country in the region that doesn't do diaspora vote, and our argument is that we don't have enough resources. Well, we have a lot of resources, looking at the fact that there are a lot of monies that are coming into Zimbabwe and how much money was spent on this past election. We clearly have the resources to make sure that we can have a good election in 2028. But what do you make? Is there a possibility of a national transitional authority? Is this something that is going to happen? Is this something that these SADC leaders are going to act upon? Those are the things that I want to hear from you. And what do you make of the videos that I've shown you? And what is on the offing? And at the backdrop of Emmerson Mnangagwa appointing his own sons into the cabinet. What does this mean? All that in the comment section.